chaos at Vallecas, Barcelona were awarded a highly dubious penalty while VAR was offline, igniting fury across LaLiga and giving Hansi Flick's side a controversial lifeline. In the 37th minute, Lamine Yamal went down inside the box and the referee immediately pointed to the spot, a call many neutrals called questionable. With the VAR room silent for the opening 40 minutes, there was no safety net to reverse or confirm the decision. This is not just one blown call, it deepens Real Madrid's mistrust in the CTA, raises wider questions about officiating standards, and forces supporters to ask whether technology meant to bring fairness is actually creating new forms of doubt. This season, the stadium erupted, social timelines filled with split-second replays, and what started as a tight contest at Vallecas quickly became a mirror for much deeper anxieties about how the game is governed. When you strip the moment down to its mechanics, it still has all the ingredients of a classic football flashpoint. A winger cut inside, contact, a player on the turf, and a referee pointing to the spot. But add to that the absence of VAR during the most contentious stretch, and the whole scene changes tenor. The referee's whistle becomes final in a way it rarely is now, and that finality matters more than the spectacle of a single goal. For leagues that have promised technological fairness, a system outage at a moment of maximum consequence is more than a technical hiccup. It becomes a credibility problem. Club leaders and fans sense pattern, and patterns breed narratives. For Real Madrid, this is another sign that promised reforms to the technical committee of referees have not delivered the reliability or transparency necessary to settle disputes calmly and conclusively. The practical questions are immediate and straightforward. How did the VAR feed fail? Was it a hardware fault, a human oversight, or a procedural lapse in the pre-match checklist? Were contingency procedures followed? These are the kinds of issues that a technical report should answer, with timestamps, logs, and independent verification, because words alone will not satisfy an anxious public. Administrators must translate technical jargon into clear guarantees. What was the cause? Who will be held responsible if procedures were not followed? And what concrete changes will be made so that when decisive moments arrive, they can be reviewed beyond reasonable doubt? If the league answers with opacity and delay, suspicion will deepen. If it answers with immediate transparency and independent audit, tempers can cool. Emotion plays its part. Barcelona supporters will call the result fortune and point to football's chaotic DNA. Real Madrid fans will see yet another example that confirms earlier grievances about inconsistent officiating. Pundits will rip apart every camera angle. Ex-refs will be invited to explain intent versus contact, and social media will amplify every frame that seems to support a preferred narrative. The more important story, however, is not which crowd wins the argument, but whether the institution charged with ensuring fairness learns from this and acts. Repeated questions about reliability erode the product, and the product here is a competition whose commercial value depends on perceived fairness as much as on the quality of the football. There are also broader stakes. Competitive integrity influences managerial decisions, player recruitment, and even the global marketability of the league. Sponsors and broadcasters invest based on trust in a competition's legitimacy. When that trust frays, the financial consequences follow. For the CTA, the match at Vallecas is a stress test. Will they respond with technical fixes, visible accountability measures, and genuine attempts to rebuild confidence, or will they default to bureaucratic reassurances that satisfy few? The right response is clear: immediate, independent technical assessment, public disclosure of findings, and rapid implementation of fail-safes, because only demonstrable competence can replace suspicion. Vallecas will be remembered not just for the penalty itself, but for what it exposed: a fragile balance between human judgment and digital verification, and a league still learning how to manage both transparently. One controversial penalty in a midweek game will not in isolation decide a title, but a string of unresolved controversies can tilt a season and damage the competition's long-term reputation. Fans want clarity, clubs want consistency, and the league must choose whether to treat this as a wake-up call. In the coming days, eyes will be on the CTA and on the VAR technicians as they offer explanation. The test of Spanish football's seriousness will not be whether it issues a statement, but whether it follows through with measurable, verifiable change that ensures the next decisive moment can be judged beyond reasonable doubt.